Well, good evening, and welcome, and thank you so much for joining me this evening on the 31st of the 7th, 31st of the 7th, which is the last day of July, and then we're going to hit into August, and then it's going to be full sailing straight on down to December. Can you imagine? Paul Stewart, Prudence, good evening. Thank you so much for joining me. Those are joining me on Instagram, those are joining me on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. Much appreciated. And tonight is a discussion whereby we have in review. In review is a show whereby I look at some of what is the top news of the week. And I always ask persons, what is their top news? What is your top news of the week? What would you say is your top news of the week as well? And I'll appreciate it very much that you like, share, tap up the screen as much as possible. And after the 1 hour segment, then I go into I go on to TikTok exclusively. But if you want to come in and want to join the show and want to be able to talk, you can go on to the YouTube version as well. And that is really good. I'm hoping to be joined by Mr. Gary Graham, maybe not, but there's a lot of discussion, lots of issues out there that one can look at, and if we give an idea, we can say like, the Trump envoy visit Gaza, and White House say it's after a productive meeting with Israel Prime Minister. Is the Palestinian step closer? France, UK, Canada is now followed with a plan to recognize the Palestinian state. I believe the UK is talking about, not the UK, but I believe Trump is talking about sanctioning the Canada for thinking in that way. There's also the issue about the nurse leaders are warning that they're going to possibly focus on a strike as well, just like how the teachers, not teachers, the doctors and teachers, maybe they're ramping up to go on a strike as well. And they said the first war injured Ghazian child has arrived in the UK for treatment. And going across the chambers and going into Jamaica, what we are seeing is the Prime Minister is on the road, putting out a pamphlet or so as to the achievements that the Labour Party has done so far. Leave Andrew Holness and Ibrahim Traore alone to build their countries. Anyway, there's Ibrahim Traore, who is in Burkina Faso doing fantastic stuff. Andrew Holness in Jamaica, waiting for him to call the election. I believe very much that the Andrew Holness government more than likely may lose the next election, and based on the signs, so I'm free to actually say that the Andrew Holness government may lose the next election because they're unfortunately waiting for too long to call the election, and people are getting a bit fed up of that. So, Mr. Jamaicans for Progress, you can take that as well. And whenever you come onto my platform, or whenever you come onto my discussion or whatever, you're going to hear my views, and you're going to hear what I've got to say, whether you like it or not. I'm in control of this, and this is my voice, which I can speak. Marcus Walters, welcome. Official Yabu, Winston Scott, Mark Cross, O'Neill, what's up? You need to come in, man. As a matter of fact, you need to come in, actually. I'm going to send you the link, actually, to see if you can come in as well. And we have to somehow talk about what's happening in America as much as possible. Good night, Sydenham. Good night, Sydenham. Somebody call me Sydenham. Silver. Yeah. Thank you guys on TikTok. Thank you guys for coming on. Welcome. Like the page, share the page. Let's have this conversation tonight, because it's going to be what they say. It's going to be what? Lit. Okay? One of the very interesting thing which is happening right now, as we can see, is the whole aspect of the Middle East. And the Middle East is uh, it is sad. It is sad, and I'm sure that many persons will say it is sad what is happening there in the Middle East. And one of the first thing is that even today, some guy was knocking on my door talking about help with some charities in different countries over there, and it is sad state whereby they're talking about that the first war injured Gazan child arrived in the UK for treatment. Many people have been talking about the level of malnourishment, the level of how children are being left out there, and what is happening. It is very sad. It's like the whole world is watching. Whole world is seeing, and it's similar to what was happening in Rwanda. Would you say that? Whereby it's like the world watching and seeing and saying, hang on a second. Gary, but Mr. You're gonna tell me what's happening in the world today. What's going on in this world, Gary? Welcome, Gary. Welcome. Let me see if we can hear
We
you.
live. You are live.
Yeah. Oh, oh, we're
I'm
always
hearing you
live, Gary.
very.
We we're always live, Mr. Graham. We're always live for you, right? Live, ready and ready like Freddy. You know what I'm trying to say. You, I can hear you. You can hear me.
Let me
I can hear
let
you.
me go. Let me come out and let me
Okay.
you're buffering every now and again. Let me
Okay.
come out and come
Okay. You're
back
gonna.
in. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You're gonna wheel and come again. Let's wheel and come again. So that's what Gary is coming. Yeah, it is a very sad day as to what is happening in the UK and in the world at present. And I say the UK uh, in regards to the level of atrocities which is going on out there regarding the children and in the Middle East. One would say that when we look at what was happening many years ago in Rwanda, and the world was looking at it, and the world was somewhat complicit in it, I would say. And the world had said that that is not going to happen again. But what we are seeing right in our eyes is like what's happening in the Middle East. You know, children being starving, malnourished, children who need medical help, children who are somewhat not children who are not, what should I say, started this whole thing, who are just, and I'm not going to say the word like collateral. Sometimes they say collateral, shouldn't be deemed as collateral at the same time. And I can see where the UK, I can see where Canada, and I can see where different countries are wanting to somehow formulate a sort of solution. You know, we're talking about um, Majid Shagnobi, which a picture which I showed earlier, who can't eat or speak like he used to. He can't smile, um, but with his injured mouth covered by a surgical mask, arrived at London's Heathrow Airport on a flight from Cairo with his mother, brother, and little sister. Happy to be in England to get the treatment, the young man said, the 15-year-old told. And he was trying to get aid, humanitarian aid in Kuwait. Yep. Was trying to get some aid over there. Let me just see something here. Um, so yes, so he's here in the UK, and we believe that somehow that this is, maybe the start of many others. Is that one of his friends helped him, took him to the hospital, thought he was dead. Sorry, unalive. That's the right word to use because I've got the TikTok open. Let me see if I can get Gary. I don't know if I can get Gary on as well. Yeah, children are totally innocent. Children should not be caught up in the whole thing, but unfortunately, children are caught up in the whole thing. If you have a child, if you're a mother, if you're an aunt, if you're an uncle or so, you know, it's really unfortunate. Doctors in Gaza saved his life and left, and Majid spent months in hospital, breathing through. tracheostomy tube before he was evacuated to Egypt in February. Let me see if I can get Gary on. Um, hey, Gary, can't see you, but we need to sort of Gary system there. Uh, so yeah, so it's unfortunate. So he's the first Gazan child to arrive in the UK for treatment for war injuries, almost 2 years into a conflict which more than 50,000 children have reportedly been killed or injured, unalive or injured. Let's use those word unalive, according to the UN Children Charity UNICEF. Some are saying that it is. Gary, are you there? Can you hear me? I can.
I'm here, loud and clear. I hear you.
You're here loud and clear. Welcome, and thank you for joining tonight as usual to the discussion. Um, we are never out of what conversations to talk about in what is happening in regards to the Middle East and the according to the big one is a two-state solution which they are talking about. Um, I don't know what's your take on these developments which is happening out there now. David Lammy has been making very strong statements. Those strong statements still resonate with the Prime Minister, that the Prime Minister has been supported by Canada in the sense of wanting to push forward for there to be, to recognize Palestine as a state. I've been talking about that for years. Canada follows France and UK with plans to recognize Palestine as a state. Gary, what's your take on that, sir? Any ideas?
I really don't take much of what David Lammy says. I don't think much of what he says. I think he's there's a lot of fluff with him, really. I don't think he's taken seriously on the world stage. Yes, you can't take it from him, or you can't take it from him. Yes, that he is the foreign secretary. He is the foreign secretary. But the presence that he should have, he doesn't have it. So I don't really listen to much of what he is saying or what he says anyway, honestly.
But the thing that he have been saying, what's wrong with what he's saying? He's actually speaking up for what's happening in the Middle East. He's speaking up for the children. He's speaking up against the double standard and all those sort of things. That's what he's talking about, isn't it, Gary? Whether we like it or not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's saying what's going on out there. He's giving up. He's trying to paint a picture of what may be happening there. But again, a lot of what the main media is saying, BBC, ITV, CNN,
yes,
another main arteries of news outlets.
Yes,
I do not really listen to what they're saying, honestly, because I don't think. I mean, when you listen to other areas, news outlets, and according to BBC yesterday, I don't know if you saw it on the 10 o'clock news, because I'm able to. That's the only really news that I listen to when I get home.
Yes.
They said that the number one media outlet that people now are watching and listening is YouTube.
Yeah.
And there are news outlets there that use YouTube to report what's happening. And there's a stark difference. There is a stark difference of what is being reported when you listen to those who can report via YouTube. So there seems to be a contradiction in terms of news being given, and if you listen to what is given on terrestrial TV, It's always not what is being given in and by other news outlets.
So
So
what? Yeah,
I
keep
do have
talking.
a
Sorry.
question. I do have a question of what BBC, ITV, sometimes Channel 4, Channel 5, even Sky and such, what they give, because sometimes what others are saying is quite different. So I'm not
Yes.
always taking what is being given by BBC, etc., 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 as I named before, as
So what
gospel.
you
Honestly,
so what
I have
yeah,
to
so what
question.
yeah. So what you're saying, the quality of news coming out is not very authentic. That's what you're saying. The news which
It's
is
not
coming through is not.
always accurate, and I'm not only speaking about what is happening in the Gaza and the West Bank. I'm referring now, generally speaking.
Yes.
I'm going to say generally now, and what Mr. Lammy seems to be saying, and what I'm listening to is I'm not listening to. I'm not going to accept it from him at all. No, I'm not going to accept it from the Labour Party, and I'm not even saying that I would even believe the Conservative Party or the Reformed if they were in government, or if they were saying that, because there's something going on. Honestly, there was something going on. Now listen.
Yes.
I'm not even saying that Israel is 100% in what they do. Um, in our conversations over the past week and year since the conflict or has been happening in Israel, others there are those out there that would say that we are supporters of Israel. Well, let me talk for myself. I don't know about for you, right? I'm not going to talk for you, Stillborn. I'm going to talk for myself in that I am a supporter of Israel.
Yes.
But at the same time, I would even agree with some that Israel has not acted properly in some instances. But what happened October 7th, if that's the correct date in which whatever happened 2 years ago, which country in this world, which country would allow others from the outside to come in and do what they did?
Yes.
Would England allow a country, let's say Russia, to come in, to climb over the fence if there was a fence on the borders of the UK, to come in and
Yes.
just kill, let's say 2,000 people and then run off and not do anything? Would the citizens of the UK sit back and say, well, that's okay, that's all right. I mean, I may have lost my mother, my father, my sister, uncle, aunt,
Yeah.
but that's okay. Let Russia go ahead. I'm just asking the question. It could be argued that Israel acted out of proportion, has overdone it. But the thing about it is that Hamas has been known for their violence. Hezbollah has been known for their violence. And if the Prime Minister of Israel, we don't have the security reports in our hands to judge whether or not Benjamin, or Bibi as I call him, should knew before that this was going to happen, or there was a lapse in the security, or whatever the argument may be. However, Israel has always had problems on their borders, and
Well,
Israel vowed that they're
yeah.
getting Hamas. That's the point. Israel
Yeah.
has vowed that they're going to destroy Hamas, and
Yes.
I have seen footages. I have seen things that ITV, BBC, and all the other stations out there that are not showing that when the aid goes in, that
Hamas.
Hamas gunmen are there hijacking the 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 goods, and there are Palestinians there who are saying, because again there are those who can interpret what women are saying, that it disappears and it goes underground.
Yeah.
BBC, ITV, and all the other channels out there that we readily get, they're not
Mm.
reporting the full picture. When you
All right.
see
Okay.
children, and they're
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
sorry,
Go on.
sir,
Go on. Yeah.
just saying,
Yeah.
yes, they're showing children, we are viewing children who are starving. Yes, we are viewing children who they even purport that they're eating sand.
Mm.
Yes, they're saying they're eating leaves and such. My friends, listen. This is propaganda.
Mm.
This is propaganda. Because if Hamas is known to be hijacking the aid that is coming in and even shooting, they're even shooting their own Palestinians, those who are trying to get the things
To hell. Yeah.
off the truck.
Yeah. Okay. 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 I hear all of that. One of the things is the solution, and regarding what Canada is saying, Canada has now following France and following the UK in recognition of a Palestinian state. This is one of the ways that they're looking at as a solution. Um, I was listening to Kemi Badenoch, and she was saying recognizing the Palestinian state as a solution, that's not going to deal with the issue. The issue is that there's a war at hand with Hamas. Hamas is a key factor. They're talking about that even in Palestine. Hamas is a factor which even some Palestinian is recognizing that they are the ones that have their hands on the whole thing. Prime Minister Carney has said Canada plans to recognize a Palestinian state in September, becoming the third G7 nation to make such an announcement in recent days. Let's just take a second and listen to what, and I hope I'm able to play this bit here that Mark Carney said. Based on what Mark Carney said as well, I think Trump has taken not a liking to what and alluding that he's going to be what he say, he's going to maybe put some more sanctions on Canada or so like that. Let me just play this bit here. Um, okay, here we go.
Canada intends to recognize the state of Palestine at the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly in September 2025. This intention is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much needed reform.
Did you consult with the U.S. about your decision to recognize Palestine, and can the sustainable peace process work without U.S. being on side?
Look, the United States is the essential partner in peace in the Middle East. Others have responsibilities, Canada included, responsibilities on the humanitarian side, responsibilities with governance and other aspects that we're supporting. And we make our own independent foreign policy positions. And when we see opportunities, when we see necessity, which is what we see in this case, given the retreat of the prospect of a two-state solution because of the facts on the ground, as I explained, when we see that possibility and we see the combination of an ability to influence, yes, it does matter that others are moving. It does matter because it increases the prospect of success.
Okay, so there's Mark Carney setting out that the UK is some are saying the UK is following France as well. What do you think? What do people think about that? And welcome for those joining me on TikTok. Thank you, there, Georgina, Jay. Welcome to the discussion on Palestinian state a step closer on in review. And for those who are joining on sorry, not LinkedIn, Instagram, and also on Facebook. Yeah, what are what are people's thoughts in regarding to a Palestinian state? a two-state solution. What's your take on this, Gary?
Well, as I've always said, and I'm coming from a religious background point of view. I'm coming from a religious point of view here, which may be a bit biased in a sense, but let me just say this: that I don't think it's going to happen. That won't happen. Israel will not accept that. Irrespective of whatever the world is saying, I think we've got to understand, one, that Israel has never accepted a two-state solution. Israel will never accept a two-state situation. And religiously, I don't think God is going to allow that to happen. I don't think so, anyway. It was never on the cards to be done. I know that there are some that probably won't understand. There are some probably that won't agree with me. So that's fine. I mean, I think allow me to have my own opinion, and I will allow anybody really I will allow anybody to have their own opinion on the subject. And that is fine. I'm not going to force my thoughts or my feelings on anyone. I just recognize really that for the history of Israel, since their existence, since 1948, they won't accept it. God, through his word, I don't believe that will ever happen. God will not just sit idly by and just see and his land that he gave Abraham, both Muslim and Jew, they lay claim to Abraham as father. That is fact. They recognize Abraham as their father, and they are related. But I'm not going to go into all of that now.
One of the things that Karen has said, and I believe it is something in discussion with the other person, he said the move is dependent on a democratic reforms, including the Palestinian Authority holding elections next year without Hamas. Without Hamas. So they're trying to get Hamas out of the whole equation. And when I remember Trump talking about having this Mecca there along this Gaza thing, I think it was an idea which they came up with as a way to clean out the whole underground areas or so in the whole Gaza stretch. Israel Foreign Ministry, as you said a while ago, rejected Canada's announcement, calling it a reward for Hamas, while U.S. President Donald Trump said it would make a possible trade deal between the U.S. and Canada very hard. It's over 147 of the UN's 193 member states formally recognized the Palestinian state. I wonder what Jamaica's position is. Carney said Canada. Carney said Canada would formally recognize the state of Palestine at the upcoming of General Assembly. I say why I say Jamaica is because I saw something. I'm sorry to detract a bit. I saw something whereby the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the reason why they won't have a fixed date for elections in Jamaica is because the UK attempted it and the UK don't do it. So everybody's now saying, hang on a second, so you follow everything the UK say? So I said the UK doesn't want to remove the king as the head of state. So what? Is Jamaica going to follow that as well? The UK doesn't believe in reparations and not going to give an apology. Is Jamaica going to, Anyway, I just sort of flagged that up there. I call it follow fashion, dog never drink good soup, So yeah. So what is happening is the move by many countries are looking to see a Palestinian state, Gary. That's what the United Nations, I guess what we can say, that the United Nations has no teeth.
Trump is talking by way. I mean, everything for Trump is a deal. So if nations and countries, or nation states or governments, if they don't dance to what Trump is saying, then there's no deal, or there's 100% tariff, or whatever it is. The rest of the world, talks in terms of a two-state deal. Now, how can anybody really negotiate with unjust these two terms?
Yeah.
How, I mean, they're not even allowing for, if there was any other way of negotiating anything, they're not giving any room for negotiation at all. It's either it's a deal with Trump, or you allow two-state, a two-tier thing. Israel can't win. There's no way Israel is going to win on this. But Israel will have its way. If Israel needs to stand on its own, we can see that. I believe we are able to see this even without Israel saying it as clear as it is today, that they're willing to go on to stand alone. They're willing to stand alone.
Yeah. Well, let us hear what your friend says. David Lamy. I believe you said he's your mate, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, you said he's your mate. Okay. Let's hear what David Lamy says.
There are more than 190 countries in the United Nations. Most of them recognize a Palestinian state, but big, powerful nations like the US don't, and nor did France until now. They're going to recognize the state of Palestine, and they're holding this conference at the UN to rally other countries to do the same, including the UK.
His Majesty's government therefore intends to recognize the state of Palestine when the UN General Assembly gathers in September here in New York.
So that is a historic policy decision by the UK government to recognise a Palestinian state by September, subject to a series of conditions. Now, the UK Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, came out here after that speech, and I pressed him on the timing. Why has it taken starvation to make you act now?
We have seen the most horrific scenes. The global community is deeply offended by children being shot and killed as they reach out for aid.
But the superpower seat here is empty. That's the US. They're boycotting this, calling it a publicity stunt, saying it undermines their efforts to get a Gaza ceasefire. But these countries are pressing on. They say it's the only way to rekindle a two-state solution and peace between Israelis and Palestinians.
Gary, Lamy is not saying anything wrong, is he?
It's a publicity stunt. It is a publicity thing. It is a publicity thing. As I said of Trump, I'll say it of at least with Trump, don't listen to what he says, watch what he does. With David Lammy, he's like a lion without teeth. He'll talk a lot, but he has no presence. And so even though he's representing the UK, really the government of the government here, they don't really have a presence either.
So
worse. I mean, there's a lot of deflection here going on, because within, the state of the economy within the UK. We all know, your listeners know what's going on here in the UK, and what they're doing it so as to take the minds
away
from what's happening here and trying to bring it over to what's happening in the Middle East. And it's not going to work. In my estimation, he's just playing to the gallery, but he's not saying anything to the constituents here in the UK.
I do sense that as well. When it comes on to the difficulty that Starmer is having, the difficulty that Labour is having at this present, they tend to always run to on the world stage to try to buffer some sort of level of support as well. But okay, so therefore, what you're saying, and maybe what people are saying is that they've got to deal with the genie, the bit is in the bucket, which is Hamas, which is returning those hostages. That and also for Hamas to lay down their arms as well.
Of
It,
course,
it, mm,
of
mm,
course. I mean, this is a difficult one, but you see, how many times does Hamas need to do what they've done in the past for people to realize that they are not an organization to deal with, that they are really terrorists? How many times must they do what they did in October 7th before the whole world then realizes that they are a terrorist organization?
mm.
Do they have to come to the shores or to the shores of the UK and then begin to do what they're doing before the UK understands? Does Hamas need to go to Europe to create
Yeah.
havoc there? Do they need to go to the United States to create havoc there for the whole world then to know that Hamas is a terrorist organization?
So what America is looking at and what Israel is looking at is that this sort of move is appeasing Hamas, and Hamas will seem to be the victor in that way, because Hamas is not going to go anywhere. They're going to more giving them enough ammunition to really dig down deeper and to cement themselves, and therefore becoming a state now with one agenda in mind, just like Iran agenda. The agenda is to wipe off Israel off the face of the earth. That is what they always say. Let's hear what Sama says here.
I've always said that we will recognize a Palestinian state as a contribution to a proper peace process at the moment of maximum impact for the two-state solution. With that solution now under threat, this is the moment to act. So today, as part of this process towards peace, I can confirm the UK will recognize the state of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September, unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire, and commit to a long-term sustainable peace, reviving the prospect of a two-state solution. And this includes allowing the UN to restart the supply of aid and making clear that there will be no annexations in the West Bank. Meanwhile, our message to the terrorists of Hamas is unchanged and unequivocal. They must immediately release all of the hostages, sign up to a ceasefire, disarm, and accept that they will play no part in the government of Gaza.
Mm. Well, it is unequivocal, and what the Prime Minister is saying is make it very clear. That is now the position of the United Kingdom, recognizing Palestine as a state, a two-state solution, along with the other 147. Gary, that's what the UK is saying. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what the UK is saying. What America says, whether is it not irrelevant?
Starmer doesn't have, he does, to me, Starmer is a lame duck. As far as I'm concerned, he's a lame duck. He has no credibility. He has no credibility at home. Starmer has no credibility here, based on what is taking place.
So in the world,
here.
Yeah.
Starmer doesn't have any credibility here. So whatever he's saying out there, he can say anything he wants to say out there. He can stay down. He doesn't have to go anywhere. He can stay down and straight and speak to the whole world of what the UK will and will not accept. But Starmer doesn't have any credibility here. You can see what the Labour Party is accomplishing here. All right, and where that probably, and I'm probably speaking without any kind of data, but I'm just speaking in relation to what I'm seeing. If
Yes.
another general election took place here, Starmer would not be where he is. Or if he is, he would not have the the number of votes or MPs in Parliament. He would be weakened.
It is said that if an election is called immediately or so, Starmer would also lose his seat as well. And you're right, he is on a live man walking. Let's use that word. He's an unalive man walking, like that movie, The Green Mile. Because with what is happening now with the sort of infighting and the different MPs which he has sanctioned and take the whip from, I think he finds the international stage as somewhat of a hiding zone. Let's use that word, as a hiding zone where he goes on hiding and try to become this level of statesman. What would you say is the last statesman in the UK? Is it Tony Blair or David Cameron or Boris Johnson? The one that had commanded any level of presence, or we have to go all the way back to Margaret Thatcher and Reagan?
I mean, I think for me, basically, the last man to really have the presence, and even though I didn't agree, I was not really very settled or happy with what he was doing. I thought he was a bit shady, but obviously he has a presence now which is felt across the globe, in as much as a representative of the United Kingdom. That's Tony Blair.
Blair.
If you look at the Labour Party, it's Tony Blair, who is alive now. I mean, obviously you could go back. You can always go back to Maggie Thatcher, but she's dead now. You could probably go back to, you could look to John Major, but he's kind of, you see, that's the problem I'm having. The only individual that is out there speaking, and you hear him every now and then, and he has weight, he has gravitas in what he says, is Tony Blair. Because everybody else is just quiet. Everybody else just seems to be going back within, well, just retreating into the woodwork. But the only that seems to have any gravitas, whether people like him or not, whether people are comfortable with him or not. But people, every now and again, his name pops up, and when it pops up, you know, whether you want to respond or not, you kind of sit up and look at him. That's Tony Blair.
And he was in charge of the quartet at the same time, because a good friend of mine who is sort of being a part of the administrating position regarding his foundation, Tony Blair. But don't you think at the same time it is one thing when ministers or government also make these big statements? You wonder, have they actually engaged with the people of the UK to actually formulate those level of position, those strong position? Because this one is very toxic. It is so toxic as much as possible. Do you think they don't really get to have that level of conversation with their constituents?
Well, no. I mean, listen. I mean, if look at the problem between the two. Okay, the three most important positions within a government, the three top positions within a standing government. What are they? What would you say they are? And I'll see if you're thinking on the same level as myself.
The three ministries, you mean? Foundation. Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
You've got the Prime Minister.
Yeah, the Foreign Secretary.
And
the Defense. No, I think the Prime Minister is in charge of Defense again, isn't it? Our Home Secretary.
Okay. All right. For me, yes. The Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and the Chancellor. To me, those are the three top positions. Yeah. And the chancellor's position has been rocked.
Yeah.
The chancellor's position with the prime minister has been shaken. Yeah?
Yes.
You wouldn't sit down on a stool, even though you have 3 legs. You wouldn't sit on a chair or of 3 legs on 1 leg standing. If two legs are broken and they're just standing there, you wouldn't sit on that chair. I don't care how strong that chair looks. You wouldn't sit on it. Yeah. And the chancellor and the prime minister, we know, has not the chancellor feels shaken already, because as it was a couple of weeks ago,
which was crying. Yeah,
she was crying because she felt that the prime minister didn't give her the level of support that she feels that she should have.
I think she has been weakened. Rich has been weakened since that time, Gary. I've not heard her come out. I know they're on recess now, but I've not heard her come out with that level of spring in her step, which she normally have, and she always speak with this level of confidence. I've not heard her since that time. She has been shaken. The prime minister has been shaken, but the prime minister do not want to get rid of her, because if he gets rid of her, there's no buffer for him. There's nothing he can hide behind.
Yeah, but what can he hide behind now? What is it? What is really shielding him? Because the chancellor has been shaken. The foreign secretary, he doesn't really have. He's anybody.
No, yeah, you're right. He doesn't have a presence. He doesn't have a presence, and not because he's black. And it's not because he's black. It's not because he's black. Yeah.
So he's on his own. He's really standing on his own. As far and I know, and we know, who am I? I mean, if they were hearing me really right now, I'm Silbert, or hearing us right now, you know, they would just brush us off like you're brushing off a fly, because we don't really have any gravitas. We don't really have any clout, any political clout to sway anything. Yeah. So that's quite notable. But you know, we have a government right now that does not have the power in any way. They are in power, they are in government, but they're not running anything.
Yes. Very, very interesting. Well, I wish that something somehow tangible and very effective will come out of this. You know what's going on with the Middle East. It has been going on for years. We all know that. It has been silence in respect of what's happening in Ukraine as well, and it has dwarfed certain issues when it comes on to even the boat people as well. But something before we go, there's something also which has happened recently: the doctor strike, and now the nurses are now getting ready. They're ramping up, Gary. After the doctors have got that 28 person.
Well, listen. I mean, what more than can be said? What more can be said, Sil? Leading from what we are just discussing, where the Labour Party is in government, they're in the seat, and the economy and the essential services, they're falling apart. Don't you understand? Don't we understand what's going on? If they had clout, then you wouldn't have the nurses then beginning to rear their heads about certain things. And believe me, right, other sections of the economy is going to also raise their heads. So you just can't address the doctors and kind of then, if there's any settlement there, if any settlement has come to sort that, without other sections of the economy not raising their heads. The nurses, who else are going to come after the nurses? You know.
So their feet is off the pedal. They have taken their feet off the pedal in the UK now, Gary. They have taken their feet off the pedal. The government, That is why the doctors, after they won the election, instead of taking a time to sort of cement certain things, they keep talking about the 20 billion black hole, the 14 years of mismanagement. So they put their hands up and say, okay, let's work with the doctors now. We got to get the doctors sorted. 28% increase. And lo and behold, eventually the doctors just come out and say, that's not enough. And now the nurses are getting restive. And now everybody's going to get restive. So it's going to be a summer of discontentment. And then Sadiq Khan, you know, Trump said, I don't like this guy, which many people agree with at the same time. So it's a summer of discontentment, Gary. Driving through London, I passed through London twice last week. Driving through London, it's horrible. It's a nightmare. 20-mile zone and so much traffic on the road. You're sitting in traffic and it wasn't a school time. It wasn't rush hour, Gary.
I mean, to me, for the Londoners, we lived in London some years back. We moved out. The Londoners, you need to vote and vote properly. How could London, right, complain about what's going on there, but yet when it's time to remove the guy, you still put him in there? I mean, that don't make sense.
Gary,
no sense.
Gary, it makes no sense. It's like they say, it's a moment of madness. If you keep doing the same thing all the while and expecting a difference, you're mad. And we are seeing it all the while because the congestion charge went up because of air pollution, and then all of a sudden it just keep increasing. And now they've gone onto the Blackwall Tunnel. Blackwall Tunnel has been there for years. Now you got to charge to go through the Blackwall Tunnel. Crime has gone up, whether we like it or not.
The madness,
and yet people keep voting in Sadiq Khan.
Yeah, it blows. It blows my mind that even if you want, clean air zone. What rubbish is that? How can you? Yes. Not drive a car. What's the difference? What's the difference of the air a mile out of the 25, the M25, and as soon as you go over the M25, it's you're charged. What's the difference between the air outside of the M25 and the air within the M25 zone?
Because Gary, the hair is different. Like my back porch is open now.
But doesn't the air move? I mean, is it that the air just stays within a bubble and does not move outside? I mean, what rubbish is that? I mean, I've never heard. And you've got scientists, you've got people who obviously they're being paid off, or they're being paid to prove that the air doesn't move, it is stagnant. And so because we have less cars going within a certain area, that air does not move. So therefore, if you drive an electric car into that zone, the air within there somehow recycles and gets pure. Somehow the air gets pure, but it doesn't move outside that zone. So when you have storm or wind gusts or whatever it is, the air within the central London, people there don't feel the air moving. They don't feel the wind blow or anything like that because the air is stagnant in that. So you have to pay how much more money to stay within that zone. What rubbish is that?
I think we may need to get an expert to come in at some point and talk about this. It just doesn't make sense, and it beggars belief as to what Londoners. It is like we've lost our sense of any credibility. You got Sadiq Khan walking around with his hand in his pocket with these burly bodyguards. Nobody wants to talk to him when he's going through London. They just keep heckling him.
Idiots. Yeah. It's foolishness. Absolute foolishness. And we the citizens of the United Kingdom or of London, you know, we then sit down and swallow all that rubbish, all of this rubbish. I mean, I don't understand where is our intelligence? Where is common sense going? Where is common sense going? And then they have this thing, and then they have this electric car or
the drive for electric cars.
Yes, in this whether it's the same thing as what I'm saying here, where if you have a petrol car, like you've got a diesel car, yeah, and then if you want to trade it in, they'll give you so much to put towards an electric car, you know. But yet still, what people don't realize is that the technology that goes into electric cars, like for instance, the batteries, right? You can't recycle batteries, and even when you get in the product to harvest in order to make the batteries, yeah, you're doing more harm to the environment. It's been proven that in France, there's an area there where it's pure electric cars that they don't know what to do with the batteries. When cars then die, when these electric cars die or can't be recycled, you can't recycle batteries. What rubbish is that? You can't take them, you can't take these things apart and reuse the components of what makes up the battery.
So what do you think then? What do you think? How do you forecast? Because you always got a forecasting thing. I don't know. The Lord is telling you. The Lord is giving you inside information.
There is one thing I certainly won't be doing, and that's buying an electric car. I certainly won't. Probably I won't live long enough. I'm in my mid-60s, so you know I probably won't live long enough to want to buy one because they're so expensive anyway. And what are they going to do with all this oil, petrol, and diesel that they have going around? You know, it's ridiculous because I just see this as a money-making thing.
Yeah, it is a money-making. Listen, it is a money-making.
20 years from now, sorry. 20 years from now, 20 years, mark my words. If there's any prediction, I'm going to do this, right? And in 20 years' time, I'll be 80, going 83. I hope I'm around that time. So somebody will be able
we'll be on a massive network that time while we're sitting down in the studio. Yeah.
but mark my words, still.
Yeah.
20 years from now, we just might be sitting down back in a petrol or diesel car saying, well, you know, the government made a U-turn.
Just like how they did with the diesel thing. Well, listen, I want to close off with some new developments in Jamaica. I've been waiting for the election date and I can't get the election date. So, but you know, the new buses that they've been talking about, the new buses. Have you heard about the new buses? Yeah, for students.
No.
Yeah, man. Some new buses. Yeah, they got some new buses for students in Jamaica, and the new buses came in by Darren Vaz.
Okay. Yes, I think I heard about them. Yeah.
But what has happened is now they say it's been politicized because some are saying the buses are not good for the road in Jamaica or for students in Jamaica. I believe it's a good concept if it was something which was done properly, agreed with them. But what has made it some news is that some of the buses were going around Jamaica with JLP activists in it. Watch this. Watch this.
Oh, it look. You never know the school open. How is school that? How is school? Me not say nothing, me just show no. You understand me? Who bias, we bias, and who no bias, we no bias. But look on it and us. Tell me what you feel. We know say a silly season, and we know say everything about what is happening now is silly. But me not rock no boat, me not say nothing either way upon this issue. I'm just show you this on my YouTube channel. I'm going to invite some comments in the comment section and tell me what you feel about this. Is this appropriate behavior? Is this excusable? Is this right? Me not say nothing, no.
What the guy is asking, or Tracy, what he's actually saying, he's saying this. He want to know which school that is, or which school that, because he can't work out. Is it Calabar because they have green? So him say, people tell us. Now there's another video which is going around, and the video. I hope that I don't get any strike with it or something like that. I don't know where it is. Where is it? News and review. Oh, here we go. Okay. Sorry. Let me find this other video here. Video. Yes. Here we go. Now that is by Advocates Network, which they have you know, talking about the same thing, questions about whether or not it is appropriate or so. My good friend Dutch Gaza had said that it was some overzealous persons, but the final video, which I find very, very interesting in the same breath, is this one. This is very interesting. Well, it's my people created that video there. Actually, the last two videos my people created those last two videos. I find it very interesting. But yeah, so that's the latest development in Jamaica. But what is happening lately also is that the Prime Minister has now created a document, which I think is helpful, a document that sets out the achievements of the Labour Party over the 9 years or so that they've been in power, and he's been out on the front line delivering it. And something which I've always talked about, that it is very important that it is very important that they actually what should I say, show exactly what they've done over the years, because sometimes people talk different things. It's good for these things to be documented, and hopefully when the election is called, that there'll be some level of manifesto or so that talks about it. I think that is the best thing, Gary. So yeah, so that's the latest news, issues that we have time to talk about tonight as well. One of the things that is on my agenda to also talk about at some point, and I'm going to do a show on it, because I've seen some different videos going around with lots of different Jamaicans talking about how terrible overseas foreign is, and say, foreign are nice and foreign are good and blah blah blah. And I don't know. I don't know if these are people that just gone over in the different countries of recent days, or maybe trying to get likes or dislikes on their platform as well. But I said I'm going to do a show where I'm going to be inviting a few persons within the diaspora, UK, USA, Canada, to come and talk about some of the positives that Jamaicans have done while in the United Kingdom, while in the United States, while in Canada, and even a couple of persons I know who are in the Middle East now as teachers as well, doing fantastic things. So sometimes they give the impression that things are really bad, but really and truly, Gary, everywhere in the world you go, there are challenges. Everywhere in the world you go into. And it's how you apply yourself. Because you and I, we know we talk about being involved in politics in the UK. People need to be involved in governorship. People be involved with mayorship. People be involved in the judiciary, in magistrates. And I know a lot of Black people involved in these ways, because when people sometimes say to me, Silburn, man, leave Babylon system and go back to Jamaica. But Gary, when I'm walking in the park, one of the things I find interesting when I'm walking in the park in school time, I buck up a lot of children then from a school which is close by, and they're always pleasant and nice. Hello, and they call, you know, I've got my live show going on. They go like this, hello, and Gary, most of them, 90% of them are 80 to 90% of them are Black.
Yeah.
So therefore the question is, if we all run out and leave them, they're not, my children are not going to get up and go back to Jamaica or so. Your children. So who's going to be speaking up for these children or so? So we got to think about on these things. Yeah.
We do. Yes, we do.
Yes. And we talk about the other plans that we have as well, which is coming up soon as well, you know. So how much? So you're up on TikTok now? How much on TikTok you have? 3 followers? 4 followers?
I'm not on TikTok at all, my brother. Not yet, anyway.
You're not on TikTok as well. Okay. Well, I'm gonna finish off on TikTok and anyhow and stuff like that, you know. But Gary, listen, thanks for that. We'll watch your space as to how developments are happening in the Middle East, and people need to understand that government, while they're in power, that doesn't mean to say that's the end of it. We have a say, and we can try to make a difference in these whole things. All right then, Sil. God bless. Yes. Take care. God bless. I to down to the family and everything like that. Okay.
I will, my brother.
Peace out, Gary. Peace out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining and coming on. Thanks for those who are on the Instagram. So Ramsey, are you? Official Yabo, Winston Scott, Mark Cross, B-Eyed, M.A. Ramsey joined. And for those who came on Facebook, remember to like. My Facebook account is back. I don't know what happened to that Facebook account. What happened there? That's a Facebook account which I've had for years. I've had that Facebook account, but all of a sudden it's like it was compromised for some reason. And Facebook said, it has been breached, coming to guidelines. And I said, where has it coming to guidelines being breached? And say, appeal it. So I just pressed the appeal. You know, I just left it. I sort of give up on these things sometimes. It don't make sense to fight these things because these persons own these different platforms as well. But fortunately, it came back. Waboom. You know, the big one that I have. So yes, that platform is back. TikTok as well, with 2 different platforms as well, which I have now. The main one and a backup one as well. Super Silby and Silpreneur. Yep. So that's it. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good night and see you Saturday night on Talking Sip. And yep. Peace out. Goodbye. Cheers.